Welcome everyone to episode 24 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name
Welcome
is
everyone to
Kevin.
episode
I'm
24
here
of
with
the
Doug.
Looks Like a
Okay.
Movie podcast. My name is Doug. I'm here with Owen and Kevin. Um,
Are you done now?
yeah.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the new movie, The Flash. We're also going to cover some news at the end of the episode. Share the episode, like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow our Twitter at the link in the episode description. And final reminder, follow us on Spotify if you're watching on YouTube. You can just search up Looks Like a Movie or use the link in the episode description. But anyway, we can start by talking about what we watched in the past week. Would you like to go first, Doug? Because I know
Yeah.
Owen wants to go last. So
Yeah, I can go first. I watched Transformers: Age of Extinction, and I watched Ghost World. And I watched The Flash. I watched like nothing this week, dude. I literally watched 3 movies since the last time we talked. I watched
that's crazy. My list is the exact opposite. I watched way too much this week. Is that all? Are you...
Yeah,
That's. I think he's done. I think he's done.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go next then. I have a lot of things to talk about, actually. I watched way too much. Where do I start? Started the week I also watched Transformers, by the way, a couple Transformers movies, but I'm not gonna, Doug already mentioned that, so we don't need to talk about. I guess we could talk a little bit about how much we like Transformers, but spoiler, they're all really good. Or the Michael Bay ones are all really good, at least. I know you didn't watch the other two, but
Bayham. The Bayham is real. That's real.
do you mean Bayhem?
Yeah.
Bayhem.
Yeah.
Like it's a food. Okay, yeah. Other than Transformer stuff, I started the week watching some Polish movies that I really liked because I want to watch more Polish movies. I watched two very religious movies. I watched Corpus Christi, which was amazing and had one of my favorite performances I've probably ever seen. It was really good. And that movie just gave me a lot to think about. And then I followed that up by watching Ida, which is a Pavlikovsky movie, who also directed Cold War. I really like Cold War, and I really liked Ida as well. It's just like a gorgeous movie, and it's very kind of my brand, like slow movies where people don't talk a lot and someone's getting text messages while we're recording.
Yeah. Cold War is like one of those kind of like best movies ever made. Like
Type of things. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And I don't know that I like Ida as much as Cold War, but they're both still kind of just like a lot of proof as to how talented of a director he is. And then before I get into my other movies, my week was cut off by me binging all of the new season of Black Mirror, which is pretty good, I would say. I
I heard it
think
was bad.
I would not say that. I
The
don't know who
streets
you heard.
hated it.
I don't know who you heard that from, but I think there's a lot of people on the internet, it seems, claiming that the new season is bad just because it's different. Which I brought this up when I was talking to you, I think, Doug. But I think it's like a little bit annoying to fall so much into the trap of just being like, this is what Black Mirror is now, and every episode needs to be like screw technology, and there needs to be a big plot twist, and you can't do anything else. Like it has to go that way, and that's annoying because if it's a good episode, who cares what it's about? If it's good TV, it's good TV, and there are a couple episodes that I think are good TV. There's two episodes that I didn't really like, but there's three that I did like. So, and then that's what you expect from Black Mirror. It's never consistent. They always have bad episodes, and yeah, I don't know. It's not as good as the first three seasons, but it's a huge upgrade from the last season. So hopefully they're back on the right track. Hopefully we get a season 7 sooner rather than a 4-year gap.
Like when should they throw in the towel for Black Mirror episodes?
I mean, either when he runs out of ideas or when the world is just
but who's
falling
he?
apart.
Hasn't the show changed hands and creators?
Who is
well, Charlie Brooker is the one who writes every episode. They have different directors for a bunch of episodes, but Charlie Brooker is the series creator, and he's kind of created every single episode. They're all his ideas, I believe.
That's even consistent over through the Netflix acquisition.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. It's all the way the language they've used always has made it seem like he's always been in charge of every episode. Maybe he's not, but that
So
the way
he's
they
like the
talk
Dick
about it, it
Wolf
seems like.
of Black Mirror.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like he has probably more ideas, and there's still like a lot of stuff they could critique. I don't know. If it like runs its course, then it runs its course. But I think that this season being an upgrade from the last means that they could still tell a little bit more. And then I watched Oslo August 31st, which I have been dying to watch for a very long time. And it's extremely painful to watch. It's like one of the better mental health movies I've seen, alongside like After Sun and that kind of stuff. And it's I don't know, it was a really emotional movie. And I rewatched Tar last night, still amazing. And then the last thing is I started my Indiana Jones binge, which will hopefully complete within like the next week. I got 3 more Indiana Jones movies to do, but I really like the first one.
Yeah, you can crank that out in a day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, because I don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
You can
but
do
yeah,
it,
the first
Kevin.
one, I don't know. The first one is very good.
Hot
I don't
take.
know. Yeah, hot take. But like, well, it would. I know Owen definitely is not a fan. But have you seen the Indiana Jones movies, Owen?
Yeah, I like when I was young. I watched
Okay,
the first two like a little bit ago, a couple months ago.
gotcha. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
I,
It was like the biggest, like I guess not the biggest, but just like the most popular movie that like would get, like when people do that thing where like you're a movie person and people have a conversation with you and they're just like, what, you've never seen this, like you watch everything. Like I think Indiana Jones is kind of the movie I've heard that with the most.
Yeah, I do that with people when they say they
So
haven't seen Red Spirit Lake.
yeah, okay.
yeah.
No, but you know what I mean. I don't know, that's the movie I've been annoyed about the most. So now like a week from now I could finally not have to have that conversation about Indiana Jones anymore. But yeah, I don't know.
How often do you have that conversation about Indiana Jones?
I think the last time
Like
it
once a month?
happened. No, that's way too frequent. I don't.
Every
I don't
other
know that
month?
people. I don't know that people are that passionate about Indiana Jones, but it has
Every
happened a
other
number.
other month?
If I was going to guesstimate, I'd say it's happened at least like 4 or 5 times in the last year, which is more than I could say for most
That's
movies,
high.
I think. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. It
You got
gets
a lot
thrown
of
a
Indiana
lot.
Jones lovers in your area. Local
I
Indiana
guess.
Just like in the
Jones
world, I
lovers.
think. Just like
It's
in
in the world.
general.
Yeah, it's like a pretty
Yeah.
popular franchise. And now
Yeah.
there's a new one coming out, so it's kind of like a hot topic,
Yeah,
Anyway.
they probably got a shirt at Hot Topic. Um,
Okay. They probably don't actually. Why would they have, why
That'd
would they
rock,
have an
though,
Indiana
right?
Jones shirt?
That'd rock.
Indiana Jones Hot
Maybe.
Topic shirt.
Yeah.
I will.
I'd
Yeah.
buy it. All right. Tell us what you watched, Owen.
So at the beginning of the week, I watched a couple I started my Teo Hernandez kind of short, kind of binge, but I feel weird even kind of dragging them into this episode. It almost feels sacrilegious to start talking about that right now. And I really wanted to go last because the movie that we're about to talk about today kind of I didn't really watch too much this week, but after watching The Flash, I kind of went back and started my DC binge per se, because I was just so mad at this movie. And I actually just dropped it to my number last of the year, because when I was thinking about all the half stars, I was like, this one makes me the most angry.
That's
So
insane that you say all the half stars. How many half stars do you have this year so far?
Like 4, right?
Yeah, probably 4. So I ended up watching I watched BVS because I love that one. I really like that movie a lot.
Did you watch the Ultimate Edition?
Yeah, that's the only one I ever really go back to. It's 3 hours long. And then I rewatched The Suicide Squad from 2016, and it was yeah, this movie's not great. Way more fun than the fucking Flash. I'm gonna be honest. Way more fun.
I don't
It's
know.
so silly.
About that?
Will Smith is so
I've still
funny in
never
that
seen
movie.
it.
It's
I don't know
fun,
about
man.
that.
It's fun.
That's the one. That's the one with the Jared Leto Joker.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never smiled once during the Flash.
I watched like the
I
newer
laughed
Suicide
and-
Squad. I thought that
I
shit was
laugh
lame.
and giggle
Kinda.
during that movie. And then I rewatched Man of Steel, and I'm an hour into Wonder Woman. I'm gonna finish that after this. But yeah, movies used to be solid.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking about. Aquaman. I was like, man, Aquaman's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you love Aquaman.
I'm gonna check.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
good.
watch. I'm gonna do Aquaman after Wonder Woman, and then hit the Justice League.
Zack
The
Snyder's
Snyder.
Justice
Yeah,
League.
yeah. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
watch the Whedon version.
Yeah,
But
Zack
if I
Snyder's
wanted to
Justice
watch the
League.
Whedon version, I would just see the Flash again in theaters.
I think the two biggest points of reference for the Flash in this Flash movie are Zack Snyder's Justice League for obvious reasons, and also I want to say the Flash CW TV show,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
which Grant Gustin played Barry Allen. What was it? It was like 10 years, 11 years, I think,
Yeah.
on the
forever.
TV show. It's like actually crazy. Um,
Yeah. Anyway, we could get into our Flash stuff then.
Yeah, just rolling in.
Yeah. Obviously, we could start by saying that we all did not like this movie. Owen already mentioned that he gave it a half star. I believe me and Doug both gave it 1.5 stars, unless you changed your rating.
yeah,
Um,
movie's poopy.
yeah.
Um,
So we all don't like this movie. Is there anything that we do like that we want to mention before we start,
No.
Well,
tearing
I
this
mean,
movie apart?
I like yeah. It's okay. This I was actually thinking about this right after I watched the movie, and I was thinking about like how I don't love how it's become the normal thing to rate movies the way that we do rate movies, because I was
Mhm.
like, I think that my feelings about the Flash are a little bit more fluid than they are linear, because I was like, oh,
Like
there's
the
like
fucking what are those called? The pasta strips.
Yeah, like the pasta yeah, it's like this spaghetti. Because I was thinking like
Oh,
there's like
speaking of spoiler, by the way, like spoilers for
Yeah.
anybody who cares about the
who gives a
Flash.
shit
of
about
it,
the
yeah.
Flash? You can't even spoil this stupid fucking movie.
Yeah, just go on Twitter, you'll fucking get
Yeah.
all the spoilers for you.
but-
I'm just putting it out there.
I was thinking about it because it's like, oh yeah, my feelings aren't like that linear. Because I was like, oh, they're a little bit fluid because there's like things about it that I like, kind of, and like there's like it's kind of like there's like feelings that I have about it that like are unwarranted. That I'm like, oh, but like thinking about the movie critically at all, I'm like, this is like objectively bad. It's just a really terrible movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to even think of things that I like when I was both leaving the theater and then also again when I was like getting like just an hour ago when I was like getting ready for the episode. I was like, what can I really like point to in this movie that I like? And the more I think about it, there's not really a thing that's like there that really like I don't know. Like I guess I could give it props for keeping me awake when I was very tired. I thought for sure I was going to fall asleep during this movie because I went to a late showtime. I was already tired when I arrived at the theater, and it's like a 2.5 hour movie, right? It's a pretty long
Way
movie.
too long.
Yeah,
Wait, so you're
I
saying
thought
like the
for
best thing about
sure.
the Flash was that you didn't fall asleep? That's like high
Kind
praise.
of, yeah.
That's like,
Well, yeah.
kind
Well, that's the
of.
thing with me and Ant-Man. I think like comparison wise, because I both hated the movies. I fell
Oh.
asleep in Ant-Man, but you know what? I was awake during the Flash because I was so filled with anger that I could not fall asleep. With
Yeah.
the Ant-Man, I just don't give a fuck. I don't care about this movie at all.
That's what
and
I wanted to
don't
bring up,
want this.
too.
I don't want this movie or this world to be good. I don't care.
The Flash,
it's so
better.
angry because we had good movies and we ruined it and we lost.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy when you look about the DC because despite whatever you like care about those movies, whatever, they're like when you watch I was watching Wonder Woman. I'm not crazy about this movie. I don't think it's that great. But it's like there's actually like it feels like there's a care for actual craft.
Someone directed that movie. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I'm like there's this really cool scene at the beginning where like they go into a painting and they're kind of like telling like the stories of the gods, like using the painting, and like there's just interesting visual imagery, and there's like with Zach and with all the guys that were working on those movies, there's like a clear care for filmmaking and craft, and it's so sad that we basically Warner Brothers were like, oh, these movies aren't like competing with Marvel, like, and they went like in 98 different directions, and now we have this Flash movie, and that's what while watching the Flash kind of makes me so upset is like, how did we get here? We had something good.
Well, okay, so before we even I think that we could even talk about the DCEU a little bit more before we get too into the Flash, because it is bizarre, right? It is weird that they did that, and everybody acknowledges that. But the biggest thing is like, oh, they were chasing like the bag, like Warner Brothers was chasing money, right? And that's why they were kind of fucking with the DCEU so much.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, they got the bag. Aquaman is like
$1
the
billion.
20th. Yeah, Aquaman is the 20th highest grossing film of all time. And
BVS made like 900 million or something.
yeah, so it's bizarre. It was like a fear of critical reception.
They wanted to be like cool and like make a lot of money. It was like, oh, people still like Marvel more. We're making money though, and it's like, so I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make any sense, because like it was working. It was the thing. Well, the thing that didn't work was the Justice League. That was the thing, that because the Justice League, like, it made money, but it was received so poorly critically that they were like, oh, it's like we can't salvage this. But that was also their fault being like, let's get Joss Whedon to fill in for Zack Snyder after he had to step down, and it's like, God, that's just
which is kind of insane, especially with the whole Joss Whedon stuff, because you have Zack, who's really on hand. Like, he helped with Patty Jenkins doing the Wonder Woman. He's like on hand with everything. So he kind of almost built like proteges in the whole like universe. Like Patty Jenkins or someone could have stepped in and kind of kept the vision alive. But they were so like adamant on being Marvel too that they bought the guy who made the Avengers and was like, hey, take Justice League and make it the Avengers. And now we're here. And it's really frustrating, because I really like some of those Zack era like movies, and I think they're really interesting, whether they're all great. And then not all of them have to be great. Like, it's like you're going with this huge franchise. Not everyone's going to be like the best movie ever. But I think they're interesting enough that the way that they focus on craft, like they're enjoyable to watch. And the fact that we're here now, where like the craft has gone out the window, and we're really just like, I don't even know who we're appealing to anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to talk about this movie, because if there's anything that stands out to me, it's like, and you guys obviously know this about me. Like, I'm entertained quite easily. Like, there's a lot of movies that you guys hate that I'm like, this is fun. I like it. Yeah, I got like
you
a
love
brain.
baby movies.
You have like
exactly.
in the microwave brain, even
like Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay, whatever. We don't need to cross that bridge right now. But anyway, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not that hard. And in the same sense, it's like, even if I don't like the movie, usually with stuff like that, I could watch it and be like, yeah, I get why everybody likes this movie. I was watching this movie and I was like trying to like figure out why I saw so many people being so positive about it, and I'm like, what? Like, so what did you point to that really got, like, the people were talking about like all these like awesome moments? I was like, there's nothing, I think, that like somebody awesome going on at all.
Cracked the code, right? I think that I was listening to a podcast, and I think that somebody cracked the code about that, about like why it was so praised so early on. It's because they did super early screenings. They did like early test screenings that people were allowed to be like, they couldn't spoil, like, talk about like the plot of the movie, but they were allowed to do like reactions, right? Those test screenings were advertised as were like, not advertised, but like those test screenings were prefaced with saying that they have unfinished CG, and it was before any marketing material came out. So the people went into the test screenings, didn't know that there were going to be 3 Batman, didn't know that there was going to be a Supergirl, like, and they were told that like, oh, the CG might be bad, but it's because it's unfinished. So it was like they were so like all of these people at like CinemaCon and all these places that like we got like these crazy high reactions on super early in the movie. They had like super tampered expectations compared to like what like a normal person has now, you know,
after seeing the trailer over and over again and everything. Yeah. Which also, like, that's the other thing, like, marketing the movie as like just like pretty much a Batman movie. Like, it's wasn't even really marketed that much as like The Flash, as much as it was like, hey, by the way, like, Michael Keaton's in this movie. Like,
Andy was trying his hardest to get that Batman and Brave and the Bold
Yeah.
role. He was like,
Well-
look how much I love Batman, James.
Everybody's
Like,
shitting on the director of this movie, which is fine, right? The movie's not good, but this movie passed through, I think it was like 14
man.
different directors'
Yeah.
hands. It's
Yeah.
like the story of the production for this movie is one of the craziest of any movie like ever. It's actually
The
ridiculous.
fact
the
this
fact that-
movie even came out is pretty
Yeah.
insane.
Where
Yeah.
the point is, like, this movie, because the fact James basically, like, he's like, oh, this is it. We're just moving on. So this movie's not getting a continuation. So it's just kind of there because they spent so much time and money on it that it had to be released. But it's kind of this movie that will be like, I feel like talked about and kind of infamous for a while. This weird kind of movie that kind of just exists.
Yeah, I think
it's
that this
very
movie
bizarre.
is I think I tweeted something out similar to this. I think this movie's like the perfect example of like everything wrong with like cape shit culture. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like everything that is bad about superhero movies rolled up into
Yeah.
one superhero movie. Like,
Yeah.
Which again is so weird that we got to this point, especially with DC, because they were, you like it or not, they were doing something different, right? They were trying to do something different in the beginning, and then we got to the point where it's like an amalgamation of everything wrong with like what we're doing with superheroes,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I don't know, it's
yeah,
not
well,
great.
yeah, and. So, and another thing with like, not to defend Zack Snyder too much on this podcast, but
No, I'll do it.
Why
I'll
not?
fucking stand on the table.
another
Shout
thing
out.
that
Yeah.
like a lot of people always because this came to mind because I read your fucking comments.
Oh my
Owen.
god.
You get so many comments in your letterbox reviews. It's so crazy. But
Because
I
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hey
You're like
guys, I
Silent
think this
Dawn,
movie is
dude.
all
Because
right.
people follow Owen to
Hate
annoy
him.
him.
No,
like
yeah, no, it's so funny.
yeah,
but
they follow
one
you
of-
because they want to see your opinions and be like, "Yo, this guy sucks," and like say
One
it in
of-
your comments.
I'm
The
like,
comments
3
on
stars,
your-
it's okay.
yeah,
And they're
one
like,
of the
kill
exactly
you.
one of the comments in
Gonna
your Man
kill
of
you.
Steel review.
3-star review.
On your Man of Steel 3-star review, we're saying like, yeah, but if you read the comics, you would know it's like an objectively bad Superman or whatever.
cares?
And I'm like, well, my thing is like, that's such a lame excuse that doesn't also like doesn't even make any sense
Well,
because it's like like Superman is a different character from comic to comic already, right? Like
Yeah.
Injustice Superman isn't the same as like
it's
Golden
like
Age or
you're
Silver Age
picking out
Superman.
one
Like,
specific comic book. You're like, oh, it's not like that. I don't know. It's a weird thing to me, especially because it's like, it's fine if you don't like him as a movie character, but if you're complaining that he's not like a comic character, that's not really a movie like
yeah, that's not like
disagreement.
a
Like it's like,
yeah.
oh, I don't like him as a character in that movie. That's fine. But being like, oh, he's not like the comic book 100%. Well, it's like it's an adaptation. Like they're trying to do something new. Like it's like they're trying to do something new, and you're like, oh, that's not like the old shit. Like, yeah, obviously they're trying to do something new.
And
it's
also,
like-
Marvel like never really. The only time Marvel ever got that criticism was after Iron Man 3. But other than that, they never get that same like, oh, it's not like the comic book thing. Because like Guardians of the Galaxy,
With Adam Warlock.
yeah, with like and like that like those movies are not that similar to the source material.
Oh, yeah. Changed
To the
everything,
point
but no one knew, no one cared about those
Yeah,
characters.
like-
So it was like, okay,
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's so
But-
dumb. It's so dumb. Like
yeah. If people treat like it's like Superman and Batman, it's very like a sacrilegious thing to change anything, to the point of like we're here, and it's a weird thing where I noticed it a lot, where it's like the movie doesn't have to be a good movie; it just has to be a comic book accurate movie for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, if that suit looks like it's in the comics, and everything just looks like the comics, it's fine. It doesn't have to be a good movie
I think
because, you know,
this is a great time. This is a great segue to jump into talking about the Flash and the plot of this Flash movie.
yeah,
It is a loose adaptation of the comic book of I think it's the 2009 comic book written by Jeff Johns called Flashpoint.
who's the
Uh,
worst?
And it's actually Flashpoint isn't that good. I'm gonna be honest. I've read it. It's not that
Johns
great.
is the worst.
Jeff
man.
Johns is not awesome. Not my favorite comic book writer. But Flashpoint in the comics was used to reset the DC universe, so that they could have like new comic runs, right? Because it was like but this is a terrible adaptation of Flashpoint because it basically like doesn't have any of the interesting stuff that Flashpoint has. For example, or not for example, but because like this movie, The Flash, is centered around the death of Barry Allen's mom, the mysterious death of Barry Allen's mom, right? That is the
Yeah.
crux for the entire movie, is that he has to go back in time and makes it so his dad doesn't get like arrested for that. That's like the
Yeah.
crux for like the entire movie, is that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Who
Sure.
killed his mom?
You
How
don't
did
know.
his
You don't
mom
find
die?
out.
We don't
You do
know.
not find
Yeah.
out. It is not really even a question in the movie that is presented. Like they don't really care.
Yeah,
um,
they're more concerned with like telling us like what different actors played iconic characters in other
yeah, no.
universes. It's like, oh
Barry,
yeah.
no, Barry doesn't even try to figure that out when he goes back in time.
Yeah,
There is
Yeah.
no urgency to figure that out. It is more like we gotta give my mom this can of what is it, tomato sauce
Yeah,
yeah.
or
something like
something.
that. Yeah.
It's like he just like accepts that like, oh, it's like it's an inevitability, I guess, that she has to die, right? But he never thinks
Yeah.
like, but like, how does she die? Like, what
Yeah,
are
it's
like
like especially if you're trying to mess with time, it's
Yeah,
like
he doesn't even.
isn't your like when those even like outside of a movie context, like when people make those hypotheticals, you know what I mean? They're like, what if you could go back in time and kill this like a horrible person? It's like, is that not the first thing that comes to your head? It's like my mom got murdered, so like wouldn't I go back in time and find
Yeah.
out who murdered her? Like that's like the
Well, yeah, I don't.
logical like train of thought.
It's been maybe like 7 years since I've seen that Flash show, but they do this whole like Flashpoint thing, and they definitely like figure out who killed his mom. Like
yeah,
it's
like,
like they, I don't know. It's so funny to
Is-
see like a TV show kind of do it better like 8 years before.
that's the
Yeah.
thing, because it's like, and I'm sorry to all audio listeners that are like super anti CW The Flash. I get it's not a good show. We're gonna
No, it's-
bring it up a couple more times throughout this episode because it's I
yeah,
think
it's
it's like
not great, but I mean,
like
it's better than probably this shit. I mean,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because and this is something that the show does, and that in Flashpoint, the guy that kills his mom is Barry Allen's arch nemesis, literally called Reverse Flash.
Which is not. There's no Reverse Flash in this
There's
movie.
there's no villain in this movie, which is
Yeah,
also
I was
great.
that was one of my biggest like things about the movie.
was
Like when
like-
I saw
yeah.
the trailer and I saw Michael Shannon. What's Michael Shannon's character's name?
Zod.
General
Zod,
Zod.
yeah, like
I watched.
when I
Man of
saw him,
Steel
I was like,
yesterday. He's so much
I
better
thought he
in
was
that
going to be
movie.
in the movie. I was like, bro, this guy doesn't show up until there's like 20 minutes left, and then he's there for like like 3 scenes. Like,
Yeah.
Like and I guess like you don't need a villain. It's just it's kind of weird when this is the Flash's first movie, and the Flash
Yeah.
has like all of these very Flash specific iconic villains like Reverse Flash or Captain Cold or whatever, and it's like, oh, we
Yeah.
don't like there's no attempt to try to introduce any of those, which is fine. You could do other interesting things with the Flash, but they don't do anything else that's
Yeah.
interesting. A lot of the
yeah.
movie is really just about like, oh, Barry Allen is breaking the multiverse, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
and but that's it. Like that, like the urgency is just like, oh, he did that, and there's like no
Yeah.
like
yeah,
well,
it just
It's so weird because we're at a point where it's like, oh, this has to be the last movie, but it's also the first movie of the Flash, sort of. And it
Yeah.
feels funny because I remember like with one of the complaints of like BVS is like, oh, this is like the second movie in this franchise or whatever, and we're already doing this. But I think that one's handled so. I think BVS is handled so much better because you're dealing with an older Batman and he has like there's different qualities that I think it works better, even though you don't have like a lot of movies setting this up. And with the Flash, it's really odd because he's been in the Justice League and you've seen him a little before, but this is really the Flash at like a very early start, and there's no sense of him like having other villains or really having anything that he's done before. And it's a weird kind of movie in the fact, and we talked about Zod, and I said I watched Man of Steel like yesterday. Every Man of Steel thing that they rip in this movie is just like 90 times worse. Especially like Michael Shannon, like he talks about, I think it's like an interview where he's like, this was not rewarding work for me. Michael
Yeah.
Shannon is so good in Man of Steel. Like he's such a great actor. I love him so much. He's phoning it in here. He does not want to be there. And he's not really utilized enough to really be there. Like it's not even there's nothing for him to do.
he
He's just
doesn't
kind of
really have a
there.
lot to do, which is like whatever. Like General Zod doesn't need to be a big character.
But it's so weird that he's here.
it is weird that they brought him back. It's
yeah.
It's bizarre.
That was my complaint. It just like felt messy because it's like you have like the whole middle section of the movie, which has nothing to do with him really. It's just about this like multiverse idea. And and then they're just like, what if we introduce this villain? But then like the climactic moment is not with that villain. It's with like the Flash of the future, I guess, the one who keeps like
Yeah, it's with
Yeah.
Dark
doing
Flash, and
yeah,
Dark
yeah.
Flash is the younger Barry
And
Allen.
yeah,
Who,
exactly. So
yeah.
it's like I don't know. It's weird to like have this villain that's like not important to like the first 80% of the movie, then introduce that villain,
He's
have
not
a
even
battle with that
important at the
villain, and then
climax, to be
yeah, no,
honest.
but that's
Like,
what I mean. It's like then you
Yeah,
go to the climax and then he's not there, and it's like
he's
well, I don't
only
know.
there for them to have that scene where the 18-year-old Flash keeps going back and he can't save
yeah,
Supergirl, but he's only there for like that scene. So you get
Yeah.
this other scene that lasts like 2 seconds where they fight this guy.
it just would
And
have been so much cooler if they just had like a reverse Flash come out of like as like they're breaking the multiverse. Like the reverse Flash comes out of nowhere and he's like, "It was me." I don't even know, dude. I'm just like just have something
Oh.
happen. Like the
Like a
Dark
floating
Flash.
head pops out.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Dark
yeah.
Flash shit was just so lame. Like
Yeah,
he like fucking didn't do dick.
yeah.
Like he had like that. He looked kind of cool at the beginning. Like he had that one jump scare, but it's just like I don't know. But it turned out to be in service of fucking nothing.
Well, that's like the whole thing is like this movie. I remember coming out of this movie and just feeling exhausted. And it's 2.5 hours of basically nothing happening, like nothing of importance. I said this in my fucking TikTok, and people were like, "What do you mean nothing happens?" It's like a lot of movie where nothing of any importance happens. Like it's just
Yeah.
nothing, like nothing that they do ends up like mattering in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of anything.
The way that
So-
my tone didn't change like for a single second throughout the movie, like that's such a good point because it's like there was not a single moment in the movie where like I was just the same expression the whole way through and
Yeah.
like no emotions really whatsoever. Like no matter what they like threw at us, I was like, this is just going like right through me. Like I am not even
Yeah.
engaging with any of this.
Okay. So the beginning of the movie, right? We're in
Yeah.
the DCEU, the Snyderverse, basically, right? And we see the Flash.
The Whedonverse, practically. Jesus Christ.
Sure. Okay. But you know what I mean? Like it's like the established
Yeah.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That like the rest of the films have taken place in. We see the Flash like doing like his normal Flash things. There's like an emergency in Gotham that he has to go help out with. There
What
we
even
see
is the emergency? I
like
forget.
the buildings falling.
Yeah.
Oh
there's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah, and whatever. He has to go. Basically, he has to go and he has to save some babies. That's like the first
Oh,
set
yeah.
piece, and
Yeah.
the most annoying fucking set piece of
Which
the
is
whole
So
crazy
dumb.
because
So dumb.
you could have used like Captain Cold or something in that intro,
Yeah.
and that would have been like a thing where like it makes sense and people would have loved that. But no, we have like we're catching babies. and
catching
Yeah.
like weird alien ugly CGI babies too.
It's so-
Like
oh, it's so bad.
yeah, I mean, there's already that GIF of people that are
Him
circling
put-
around
yeah.
of like him, like it's reversed of him putting the baby into the microwave.
Yeah.
So it's just actually and like it's so I don't know. It's like I can't even talk about this part in too much detail other than like it was annoying. I was so like this was already like tiring me out. I was like
It's like
exhausted by
first
this
like
point.
5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so long and it feels like sketch comedy. Like that point it felt like a sketch like a comedy routine or something like some kind of like dumb like joke, but like not like a real joke, but like I don't even know. Like some it sounded
Yeah.
like what we were watching felt like something that somebody on like would say out loud on a stand-up routine and like describe being you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's like
Yeah, I
it's
see what you're
like but like
saying.
a bad stand-up routine.
It's like no, it's just a bad movie pitch that somehow like got made into a movie.
Yeah, I was like, you guys didn't have a better idea for like this beginning of the movie other than like a bunch of CGI babies fall to the
Yeah.
ground.
And then
Yeah.
you kind of and like there's a lot of things going on like worst like comic book suits ever. I don't know like what's going on with I think Supergirl looks fine because it's just like the normal Superman suit,
Yeah,
but
Supergirl
everyone
looks really
else
good.
looks really bad.
Well, yeah.
Um,
and
like
at this-
whenever they put on Ben Affleck is
That's what I was gonna say. Ben Affleck looks really weird in the suit. He looks very weird in the suit. I don't. It felt. It actually made me feel like, is that even Ben Affleck in the Batman suit?
I
Thought the
know.
same thing.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
he
it's-
looks
it's
so.
I was like, did they get somebody to replace
it's so
him?
bizarre because it's like, oh, we know what Ben Affleck Batman looks like. We've seen it before. And then you go and watch this and it's like, what are we looking at?
Yeah. So you mentioned that Michael Shannon has a what's it like turned in
Phoned in.
performance.
Everyone
phoned
does.
in.
God.
Well,
Ben
I think
Affleck does
that
not
Ben
wanna be
Affleck has the
there.
most phoned in performance. Ben Affleck has the most like, I wish I could have just given this performance over the phone fucking look on
Yeah,
his
I
face.
mean-
Like it's
Yeah.
like the. and
I'm
it's literally-
surprised he's even there because I know he obviously doesn't want to be there. He's
Yeah.
showing up to like the Snyder events and stuff. Like he doesn't want. He's really not happy that they're in the position that they are.
Yeah.
I
So yeah,
mean,
Barry Allen goes to
The check probably cleared, man. I don't know what to tell
Barry
you.
Allen is basically telling Batman like, "Hey, I think I figured out how to do time travel. I can go back and I could save my mom." And then Ben Affleck
Yeah.
is like, "Listen, if you could go back in time, you just shouldn't. All right, kid. I'll
Yeah.
catch you on the flip side." And it's like,
Which-
what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a good thing he leaves for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because I don't know, like it's confusing of where even this like aligns in the universe because Ben Affleck's Batman clearly knows that Barry can time travel because and Barry knows that he can time travel because he does it in the Justice League movie. And it's
Well,
it's
yeah,
like
that is actually weird because like
in the
Zack
Zack
Snyder's
Snyder's Justice League, he
does
goes
it.
back in time.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I
in this one, Ben Affleck's Batman is like, even if you could move faster than the speed of light, hypothetically,
And
it's
he's
like,
like-
he for sure does that at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
So it's
Yeah.
it's confusing on like what like even is going on. Like it doesn't feel like a continuation of anything, but it's supposed to be a continuation of everything,
Yeah.
and it's so messy.
But then
Yeah.
spoiler alert, he does go back in time and save his mom. Which again, he doesn't do this by stopping whoever
killer.
kills his mom. He does this by making sure his dad doesn't leave the house to get more tomatoes.
Yeah.
Which never comes up to be like, okay, so his dad doesn't leave the house. Does the guy like who?
Yeah, does
what
the guy
hap-
show up? Like,
Yeah,
it's like
it's just
what?
never-
It's like oh, he's at the house.
It's
Doesn't
like
even
it's
try to
literally
kill his like
it's
dad.
literally
or
like
Yeah.
he assumes his mom just like dies magically.
slipped on a
Yeah.
knife or something, and the dad's gonna like catch the knife because he's there.
Yeah,
I
it's so ridiculous. Anyway, he does that, right? And he's like, "Oh, I saved my mom." Then he comes back in time, like back forward in time after doing that, only to discover that he created another timeline. This is where I hate talking about
Yeah.
time travel because it sounds so stupid. He
yeah,
created
don't
another
feel any
timeline
need to explain it. Just
where-
like we know.
Yeah,
what
well, he
we're
basically
talking- we know what we're
comes,
talking about.
He comes back and he goes and his mom's alive now,
Yes,
and
very
he's
cool.
having food with them, and then he sees out the
Spaghetti,
window.
I believe.
There's a lot of spaghetti in this
Yeah,
lot of
movie.
spaghetti.
it's a big spaghetti movie.
He sees out the window. He's like looks out the window and he sees himself,
Yeah,
and
he
he's
sees
like, "That's not good."
another Ezra Miller even that looks annoying. And this goes into a big complaint I have with the movie. It's not even actually a complaint. It's more just like, why did they do this? Why
Yeah.
are there two? Because here's the thing. From this point forward, until like the rest of the entire movie, there are two Ezra Millers on screen the entire time.
Which
Yeah.
is they didn't need to do that because they could have just went back in time and then it's like, oh, things are wrong, things are bad, I have to fix this. They didn't
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
be two of them.
But I think like the script was. I think that the script was written like was pitched for the idea of like, oh, there's two Flashes. I think that's how the script was pitched.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's fine, you can do that. I think that having both of them be played by Ezra Miller, especially when there are 4 Batmans that are played by 4 different actors, is
Yeah.
a choice, a very weird one. I understand. Listen, I keep saying like, oh, they should have just gotten Grant Gustis, who plays Barry Allen in the CW
Yeah.
Flash, to play the second Barry Allen. I understand why they didn't do that because it's because it's like, listen, you know, it's not like the highest quality material over there, but it's like you could have had anybody. You could have gotten fucking anybody to play the other Barry Allen, and it'd
Yeah.
be less annoying. I think Ezra Miller gives like an all-time annoying performance in The Flash, to me. It's
Yeah,
so
I could
obnoxious.
see that. I don't, yeah,
I
I don't
it's
know.
like
I didn't
everyone's
love it.
annoying. And we lost Billy Crudup. Fucking they like replaced Barry's dad. To
Yeah.
this like bum actor that sucks. Fuck him.
Well,
Ron
Playing
yeah.
Billy's dad.
Livingston, is that who
Yeah,
it is?
Ron
Yeah.
is such a downgrade because Billy said "fuck it, we ball."
Yeah,
Um,
Snyderverse said
Billy's
he
cool. I
died.
like Billy.
Billy rocks. He's so
Yeah,
good, and
he's a cool actor.
there's this great emotional moment. I think it's in the Snyder League where he's in jail, with Billy and Vera with Ezra. I think it's great, and it's more emotional than this entire movie. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
then some other bullshit happens, but then we basically find out that, oh, the Justice League doesn't exist in this
yeah,
universe, but General
no.
Zod is here and he's looking for Superman.
So
So
we gotta find Superman.
yeah, we got to find Superman, but the Justice League doesn't exist. Oh, but Batman exists. But Batman exists like way in the past, right? And here's where I'm going to stop you, or stop myself, because in
He's talking to himself in
Flashpoint,
third person.
the comic book written by Jeff Johns, that this is the primary source material for this movie. Um, I don't know if you guys know this, but something similar happens in that book where it's like there's an older Batman in the universe that they end
And
up
it's
going to.
Thomas Wayne.
It's Thomas Wayne because
And it
Bruce
rocks.
Wayne
It
was
kicks
the one that
rocks.
died in the alley. Bruce Wayne
Yeah.
dies in the alley, and it's Thomas Wayne that has to become Batman. And that's how they justify him being older. That just small idea, and also, do you
Jeffrey
remember?
Dean Morgan would have rocked,
yes,
man. Jeffrey
yeah, and
Dean Morgan would have rocked.
He would have been so cool playing like, old Thomas Wayne Batman. Exactly. But instead of doing that, we get Michael Keaton.
We lost.
Which is the thing is with Michael Keaton, he's like fine in the movie, right? Actually, he doesn't. He gives like one of the like he doesn't really seem that phoned in terms of everyone else, in terms of fucking Ben Affleck or
He's
Michael
trying.
Shannon. Yeah, he's trying. He's like working for his paycheck, but it's like
his
from just
dialogue is
writing
horrible.
pen on paper, like it's so much dumber to have the Tim Burton Batman here than just like do something else. You know,
Well, it
like,
was
literally
weird because
anything else.
when I saw this thing on Twitter, and I think I really agree. You get Michael Keaton as Tim Burton Batman, and you have like the suit, and you have the the score from I forget
Danny
what is-
Elfman.
yeah. So you have like those things that are like, oh, this is Michael Keaton Batman, but you're not in Tim Burton's.
Yeah, I was
Gotham.
gonna say that same. I
You're
think I saw the
not-
same tweet.
You're not in Tim Burton's Gotham. You're not in his Bat Cave. You're not in his you're not in that universe. So it's a weird thing where it's like, is this even Tim Burton's? This is even Michael Keaton
Yeah.
from that movie because this looks
Yeah,
completely different.
it's just another
It's just-
Batman that just happens to be played by Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
who
that's-
also played Batman in a different movie.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's not even like the guy from '89. It's just Michael Keaton playing a different version of Batman that's eerily similar, but still is in this Gotham that looks gross.
Yeah, except it's still fan service because people remember him as the
Yeah.
older Batman.
But it's like it's not even like Michael Keaton Batman because he's in this like random ass place.
Yeah, like they didn't even totally commit to the going to the Tim Burton verse.
No,
part
they
of, like,
didn't
their
go
dumb
to-
cameo idea.
They
Yeah,
I
didn't
hate
go to
that
this
so
like
much.
beautiful like Tim Burton gothic
yeah,
it just looks the same.
Also, by this point, we're like an hour into the movie, and this like
Yeah.
and like we just figured out that like, oh, it's like Michael Keaton's Batman. Huge reveal in the movie that it's not fucking Ben Affleck and it's Michael Keaton. Why
Yeah.
is such a crazy choice to have him on all the posters?
yeah.
When
That's
it's,
what I'm
like, a
saying.
big
It's
reveal.
marketed as a Batman movie, and like I would probably be even just at least a little bit more into it if I didn't know that he was going to be there. Like
Yeah.
if I went into this movie
Yeah,
expecting it to
I
be
don't
Ben
know.
Affleck and then a different Batman showed up, I'd be like, oh shit, that's Michael Keaton, and then like
Yeah, it would be at
you know
least
maybe it would get
surprising,
my attention
you
a
know?
little bit for
Instead
a
of
little
being
while.
like when the
It's all-
movie acts like
uh,
it's supposed to be surprising, you're like, oh, what I you told me this
Yeah.
already, and the
that's
10
like a
commercials.
thing too. Like every like you know like exciting or like good moment that people talk about like that really works in this movie is just like something that we already knew was going to happen. Like there wasn't like a single moment
Yeah.
in the movie that I like that was supposed
It
to be exciting
feels
that I didn't watch and was just like, oh yeah, I knew this already.
there's a scene a little bit later where it's basically like, oh, because there's the no Justice League, but they realize that like none of the, or maybe it's earlier, but they realize none of the Justice League is even alive, really. Like
Yeah.
they never were born.
Yeah.
And I hate it because it's like the whole point of the movie is that like we're changing things, but like it's such a cop out to be like, oh, these people are just never born. And we don't get like different iterations of Wonder Woman. We don't get different iterations of like Aquaman or anything. We just kind of get like two new people, and
Yeah.
they're like, it's
Yeah.
like
Well,
it just
and I
feels
think
like
that's
the
where I'm
movie's
like,
so long, and
And I
trying to
kept
do
thinking
something.
somebody would show up too. You know what I mean? Because they put so much in the trailer that it's like there has to be
Yeah.
something that they surprise us with, but there's not.
They
Like,
do.
I
It's
kept thinking someone else would show up to be like, "Oh, just kidding, Wonder Woman actually is here." Like, but that didn't happen.
they're trying to do like this big thing, but they're like it's almost so limited because they're like, oh, this guy's not alive or this guy's not alive, and then you end up. It's like the whole big battle with Zod and stuff could have been like a lot cooler if they like actually like did things.
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, that battle's gross.
It's
I
so
think
bad.
That battle is so
It's so
awful.
bad.
I think that the
Like-
most interesting thing that they did, right, like in terms of writing it, was introducing Supergirl, which
Yeah.
she wasn't in the trailer because again, it's a big moment in the movie where it's like, oh, it's not
Yeah.
Superman, it's some fucking lady. It's like, whatever,
Well,
okay.
so
Like-
they play it off like it's like, oh, so we're just saving this random lady, but it's like, okay, we know that's Supergirl. Like,
Yeah, it's so
It is.
bizarre. And I think it's interesting how it's like, oh, like her pod survived and came to Earth, whereas Kal-El's pod got intercepted by Zod.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, that's interesting, I guess. You know, it's like something. It's something.
Yeah.
It's something more than just being like, oh, do you remember Michael Keaton being in the movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna, like her
I-
character was at least like
Well,
the most interesting.
that's the thing
part
I
of
was
the
saying
movie.
with like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, as I think like you could have totally done similar things there, where it's like they're different actors, or even I don't know, whatever. It's I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. And that's why it's like, it should have been, what is it? Is Keegan Dean Michael, or what's his name? The guy,
Lost.
was supposed to play Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, I know what you're
Um,
talking about. Jeffrey
yeah.
Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean
Oh,
Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's
I heard
great.
you guys say it before, and I was like, "Who are you guys talking about?" And then you,
Yeah,
From The
he's
Walking Dead, because he's
Yeah,
in,
no, I know who Jeffrey Dean Morgan
he's
is.
Yeah.
he's Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman.
Gotcha.
And it's
yeah.
it's a very interesting casting for that movie, and it
very
almost
deliberate
feels
casting.
it feels
like,
very deliberate that we're going to use him later down the line as Flashpoint Thomas Wayne,
yes,
but
yeah.
we never got that because shit went to shit.
Yeah, shit went to shit, and Warner Brothers flushed all of the Snyder plan stuff. Because that's the thing, Snyder was like involved with like these like producer meetings, and like Snyder was like they know that Flashpoint is such a Flashpoint
Yeah.
is like I hate that it is. It's again, Flashpoint's not very good story, but it's like the definitive Flash story. So it's like, oh, like we're gonna make a Flashpoint movie started by the Flash. When we do that, we're gonna need to have like somebody to play Thomas Wayne. You should set this up, like now Zack Snyder in your
Yeah.
Superman movie. It's
Well,
like, okay,
That's
they just
why
don't
I
use
think
it.
Yeah.
DC is far like I think DC's characters are just far more interesting. But I think what DC or Zack Snyder was trying to do was more interesting because the director was kind of running everything. It wasn't a studio producer overseeing anything. It was a director with a clear like creative craft vision, and he produced. He helped write Wonder Woman, produced Wonder Woman, helped with that. He produced the Suicide Squad. Like he's producing all these other projects as well. He's not directing all of them because he doesn't need to, and he picks out people that he trusts and whatever. But it was like there was a clear directorial like filmmaking background above everything instead of like a producing how are we going to write the comic booky way of it all. It was a real director behind it all, and I feel like we could have got something really interesting with the Flash if we kind of just let him see his things through. But but it's like
Doesn't feel like
with
real
the
movie.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan thing and all, like I think especially with BVS, there's just so much stuff in that movie that's just there that works in context of the movie and doesn't take you out of the movie, but is setting up so much stuff. Because I think like with Marvel and other stuff, it's like, oh, this is so obviously taking me out of the movie and they're trying to set something else up. But I think there's a lot of stuff that they did in DC. Like there's this moment where they have this like picture of Wonder Woman from like the World War II, and it
Yeah.
works in Batman vs Superman. But then like the whole Wonder Woman movie is like leading up to them like taking this picture pretty much, and it's really great like use of connectivity. And I think that yeah, obviously the casting of Jeffrey Dean Morgan is an a kind of a layup for Flashpoint.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so but I think it's like one of those things. It's like um it feels like it feels like Batman v Superman came out. It got mixed reception, right?
Mhm.
It got mixed. It didn't even get like totally negative reception. It got
Well,
mixed reception, but
because
comic book
they
fans
cut
hated
30
it.
minutes out of it, and and then everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this 30 what cut with 30 minutes more is actually way better." But
Yeah.
we're too late. We're too late. It's the same with the Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like, "Oh, this is way better than the one we got, but we're too late." We just like the producers like ruined the vision pretty much, and then when we got the actual vision, everyone was like, "Oh, this is way better," but we're just too late. It's
Yeah, it's like
fucked.
Batman v Superman came out. Warner Brothers got cold feet, and we're like, yeah. And they ruined
Oh,
everything, and
man.
now we have Michael Keaton.
With like
Now we have a
fucking
movie.
long hair, and he's talking
Yeah,
about pasta strands.
we have Michael Keaton suicide bombing like
Oh,
3 times in a
no.
row, in the ugliest battle in any
No.
comic book movie.
Yeah.
Like
It's so like uninteresting. It's
the
one of the
stakes don't
most
make any
like
sense. The stakes don't make any sense. The only stakes that make sense is that what's her name? Kara, right? Is fighting Zod. That's the only stakes that make
Yeah.
any sense. Everything else is
Yeah.
just like
just stuff happening, and
Yeah,
none of
yeah.
it looks good. Like it's like when you think of like final battles in like big blockbusters, this is like one of the least exciting things I've ever seen. Like
yeah.
there are so many other movie final battles that I would watch before this one. Like there's absolutely nothing going on that
Bro,
like
do you remember the finale in Zack Snyder's Justice League? Did you ever watch that, Kevin?
I've never seen Zack Snyder's
Oh,
Justice League, which to be fair probably would make me enjoy this movie a little bit more, but also like would it? Because
not
like I
this
don't
movie.
like
Not this
yeah
movie.
exactly. I'm like I don't think it would really help.
You would like this movie less somehow.
Definitely
Yeah.
recommend watching
Yeah.
it. I think it's
I was
something
gonna
everyone
say,
should watch
after
once.
I watched this movie, I was like, I'm gonna go back and maybe watch
Yeah.
the DC movies I haven't
That's
seen because there's a
well,
lot of
it
them.
was like I literally was like I told my mom was like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, I have to like cleanse my palate because I'm like
Yeah.
I'm just like rewatching these movies to like feel good again because I just felt like sick to my stomach watching The Flash because it's like
Yeah.
it's not even like I said this on a TikTok. It was like if James Gunn just goes out and makes shitty fucking DC movies, it's not gonna affect me because but it's a weird thing seeing like I said it felt like someone else playing with my toys because like it's like I see Ben Affleck Batman, I see Ezra Miller as the Flash, and I'm like I like them a lot
Yeah.
in the movies that I really like, and now I'm seeing someone else can like have like play with them, and it's like feels very weird and like they're like ripping their
Yeah.
limbs off and shit.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
want to watch Justice League after this because I've seen what was it? I saw Batman v Superman, but I didn't watch Justice League.
That
I've only
movie's-
seen like select DC. Batman v Superman's the one where Superman like dies at the end, but then he's like not actually
Yeah.
dead, right?
That movie's
that
a mess.
one-
I'm gonna be honest. Batman v Superman's a
That
mess.
one
too.
rocks.
But it's like, but the difference is like, like Batman v Superman's mess looks so clean compared to the Flash's mess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like
Yeah.
Batman v Superman is also a case where it's like, oh, it's an adaptation of the death of Superman for some reason in a Batman v Superman movie, and it's like it doesn't
Yeah.
like totally, it doesn't make a lot of sense really when you like zoom out, but it's like it makes so much more sense than the Flash. It like
Yeah.
comes together so much better than the Flash.
Well, that's what I was
Um,
thinking. I was like, as I was watching this movie, I was like, there are a lot of DC movies that I have not seen, so I don't have like complete context. But then there was like, at the same time, it's one of those things where like, you know, it's I hate to compare it to Marvel, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, I think with like superhero movies, like you could kind of just like jump into one and like they usually give you the context for like what's going on. Like it's not hard to like connect the dots. So I was sitting here and I was like, like when I got to the end of the movie, I was like, maybe if I had seen more DC movies, like I would have felt something. But then I thought about it and I was like,
Probably feel
I don't know
less.
that I would. I was like, I thought about it after. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, maybe I just like, I don't think this would really make a difference. I was like, I don't know that this movie can make me feel anything.
Well,
no
well, I
matter-
said it earlier. It's like it doesn't even feel connected to the point of like they're like oh flat time travel and like it's like they time traveled before and there's this great moment in BVS where like the Flash kind of he's literally time traveling in front of fucking Ben Affleck's face. He's like
Mhm.
because you know how like there's like this scene where like the Flash's like head pops out
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
movie.
like through the thing. Yeah.
They basically
that
do
happens in
that, but it looks
BVS.
way better. And
Yeah.
he's like, Lois Lane is the key, and he's like warning Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne just kind of sees him time travel. So there's so much time travel, Flash, Batman interactions like in the past couple movies that it doesn't feel like it's connected at all when they're like
Yeah.
time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's also that's the other thing I noticed, especially as somebody who like hasn't seen a lot of those DC movies. It's like
Yeah.
I think especially like towards the beginning of this movie, but I guess just in general, it felt like they like simultaneously were like introducing people to this world for the first time, but then there's just like a mess of like other things going on that like have to do with other stuff. I don't know. It was just like it was very weird the
Yeah.
way they went about it because it felt like a first movie, but it didn't feel completely like a first movie because there was just like even like during that opening sequence you mentioned with like the like the babies and stuff and like them kind of like explaining like how he's like, oh, like he has to like fucking eat stuff or he can't run fat and blah blah blah. I don't like just like the way it's like presented to you just like
Yeah.
does not feel like what a first movie and like whatever thing they're setting up should feel like
Well,
for
it's
somebody
so-
who like doesn't know it that well.
I think it's very funny how the Flash is like not only like one of DC's iconic characters, but like just one of like the most
Yeah.
like recognizable superheroes.
Yeah. That's the
and
thing
they-
too. Like he was
they
my
were-
favorite superhero as a kid. I was like, I should be excited for this. Like I love the Flash.
But and,
Watch
like,
the Justice League movie. He's way better
Yeah.
in that movie.
but like his like this movie, right? The Flash's first movie. The movie is called The Flash. It's not
Yeah.
it's literally just about
That's the
him
weird thing, too.
resetting
Why
the
is it called The
universe.
Flash?
Like
Well, so
Yeah.
I was gonna say something about that. It's like this whole movie, when they were like kind of hyping it up, it was like, oh, this is the last DCEU movie, and
it's
we're
not
gonna
also
reset.
Aquaman 2
But
comes out.
they never talk about Aquaman 2, but that's what they're talking about. They're like, this is the last movie, and we're gonna reset the universe with this movie. But like we were talking about at the beginning, it almost feels like a different universe, and at the
Mhm.
end, it's like, okay, we didn't really reset the universe because we're not like this. We're never gonna see this universe again.
Yeah.
So like, what was the point of resetting it? Like, it's a weird thing. It's like this movie didn't like reset it into James Gunn's universe. It just kind of reset
Well-
it into a different universe that we're
Yeah.
never gonna see again. So it's weird that we even like.
Yeah.
So
I
at
don't
the end of the
know.
movie when
When
There-
George Clooney shows
well no okay before even before that like I mean like the climax of the movie when like we see all the cameos.
yeah.
I think I was gonna say
Ridiculous,
like
by the way. We didn't
Yeah,
even
well,
mention how ridiculous that part is.
we're gonna talk about it right now.
Yeah.
But I don't. Where are they? Also, I want to say like, oh, they're in the Speed Force, but they never make that clear. Where the fuck are they? Are
Yeah,
they like in
I
a
don't-
yeah.
temporal portal?
I
Like,
think they're supposed to be in the Speed Force, but it's like they're in this like
Okay.
weird like speed arena.
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks
the
very,
speed
yeah, it does
arena.
look like an arena. It's very bizarre. Yeah. And like there's the confrontation. It's like the two Barry Allens. I don't think we've hammered home. If you haven't seen this movie enough, I don't think we've hammered home enough. If you haven't seen this movie, how there are two Ezra Millers playing
whole
Barry
time.
Allen the
Like
whole
in every
time.
scene.
In every
Yeah.
scene. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the two Barry Allens played by Ezra Miller get into an argument because the younger one is like, we just got to keep going back. We have to keep going back in time to try to save Supergirl and Batman. And the older Ezra Miller is like, there's nothing we can do. Like, it's impossible. And whatever. And they get into like an argument. And then the younger Barry Allen from the future comes out and he's like the Dark Flash. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to kill you. I waited for you or whatever. And then
And
but then
then
there's like a
now-
paradox that happens because the Dark Flash, which is the older version, kills himself as like the younger Barry Allen, right? And creates a paradox. And now like all of the fucking multiverses or like all the universes are like crashing in on each other in like a weird visual way. But before
Yeah.
that happens, we see the most egregious string of ugly ass cameos ever.
Yeah.
Which I want to like
The
be
worst
kind of-
use of it probably
Well,
in
I
any
should've-
movie.
I should have actually prepared for this podcast a little bit more because the guy that plays the
Oh, the guy who said that like he didn't even know he was his
George Reed?
Yeah, so he
Reeves.
plays Jay Reddick, right? He said that he didn't even know he was going to be in the movie.
Teddy Sears. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Teddy
Yeah.
Sears.
Well, people are now confused if that even is Teddy Sears because, like, people are just like, oh, this doesn't even look like a real person. It looks like an AI generated, like, de-aged, like Jay
Yeah.
Garrick. So it might be Teddy Sears. It might just be like some like weird CGI baby. Like I don't know what it is, but it's weird. You get him.
But the thing that I want to bring up was how I should have looked up his name before now, but the guy that plays like the 40 Superman.
Yeah, George Reeves.
Yeah, George Reeves. He killed himself because he kept getting typecast as Superman. He killed himself because he felt like he couldn't play anybody else other than Superman. And now even like after his death, he's still being typecast as Superman. That is like the most morbid shit like ever.
It feels like the weird shit that happened when that Chip and Dale movie came out, where they like made fun of the old Peter Pan.
Yeah,
and it's like
that's crazy.
But the fact that like that happens, and then something like this happens with the Superman thing, and there's just gonna be no repercussions of it, and like they're gonna make money, and it's just a weird. Because everyone talked about the Christopher Reeve one because it was just really like in your face. But the George Reeve one is really messed up as well. Like there's a lot of just messed up like dead people CGI things that is like really fucked up.
The like Christopher Reeves one is it is fucked up because it's like he's I don't know, it's just like
he's
not
dead. Like
yeah,
it's
it's just
CGI
not
dead
an appropriate
back
way
to life.
It's not an appropriate way to like remember him, right? But but at least like Christopher Reeves, like he accepted that he was Superman. He was like, I am Superman, and that's who I am for the rest of my life. And he like kind of played into that even through his injury and like later in life, right?
Yeah.
But like George Reeve, he was like he did not want to be remembered as Superman, but here he is, like you know, like 50 years later,
2023.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I saw somebody say that like. It's so crazy that they did all of these dumb fucking cameos. We didn't even talk about one of them, but like they did all these dumb fucking cameos. When it's really like for the Christopher Reeves moment, like that would have been such a perfect way to introduce like the new Superman, like James Gunn's Superman.
Well, yeah, I saw that tweet and I was like, oh, that would have been actually interesting. But it's a weird thing where it's like there was also a thing where it was like the ending with George Clooney was changed a lot. Like there was a lot of different versions, and it felt like. Because even though James Gunn said he really likes the movie and it's his favorite superhero movie of the year, it's like there's so much.
Supposed to say?
I know, but it's like it's so obvious that he was like, I don't want anything of my universe to do with this movie because there's so many moments, like the moment where this Christopher Reeve Superman comes in, or the ending where they could have brought in some of the new James Gunn stuff. Even like his wife could have shown up and it had like I don't know something like where it was like connected to his world.
Yeah, James Gunn's not. We're not the biggest fans of James Gunn here. But he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot. But he's not. No, he's not an idiot though.
He wants like, nothing to do with this movie.
He wants nothing to. He knows that this shit is like a fucking train wreck, dude. He doesn't want this.
Which is, but it's also weird. I guess he has enough faith in Andy that he's better than this because if he's, it's weird.
I wanted to.
He's like, I want nothing to do with this movie, but I want Andy to make my Batman movie.
I think here's the thing with that. I think that the Flash, because it's like we already referenced how like this movie passed through so many hands before it got made, where it's like I'm sure that like we don't even know if Andy was actually the person on set directing like for every scene that's in the movie, you know?
Well, I've seen him behind the scenes, but I know he was there. But
well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you would hope he was at least there for some.
I've seen him there. I've seen him behind the screen. He's definitely directed a scene or two in this movie.
Yeah, I know. I've seen behind scenes footage as well, but like you know what I mean.
It's a scene or two too much.
But like so much of this was like, especially like the stuff like at the beginning, like that shit could have been filmed like fucking 5 years ago, for all we know. Yeah. Like, but
Joss Whedon himself.
Yeah, like literally, like we have no idea. Like the shit, like this movie has been such a fucking train wreck. I think, like honestly, I think that the rumors, if he does get the Brave and the Bold Batman movie job, I think that it is like it's like a you earned this because you had to. Yeah, it's like I'm sorry you had to direct The Flash. I literally think that's what it is.
Sorry, your name has to be attached to this.
Yeah, it's like It's
Here
like
you
thanks
go.
for taking
Make
one for the
everyone
team.
like you again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like thanks for taking one for the team. Here you get like a real job, or you could
But aren't those It movies really bad?
I don't like them.
Which movies?
The It
The,
movies.
yeah,
I know
Oh,
people don't like those movies.
I think they're fine. I don't. They're
yeah,
not like I don't like
But
love
no,
them.
but
They're
it
like
is
okay.
like
I enjoyed them. Like they're
I think
whatever.
it's a really funny thing on like Twitter. It's like the first Batman director to have zero sauce. It's like
zero
because it's
sauce.
like I mean we've gotten like a lot of great directors, or not even like it's like you can say whatever you want about them, but they're interesting like stylistic directors.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
And
Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, like Zack Snyder.
yeah,
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 Matt
Chris
Reeves.
Nolan.
Oh,
yeah.
Chris
Chris
Nolan.
Nolan,
I
Matt
forgot about Chris
Reeves.
Nolan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
but
just
that
skipped over Christopher
but
Nolan.
no, I mean it's there's a lot like all of those guys are really interesting filmmakers in their own
Yeah,
right. They're all bringing something different and new to
They
the
all
Batman.
they all have a little juice, some more than others,
Yeah,
but
but it's like yeah, this is the juiceless is the most the
yeah,
least juice in a Batman director that we've gotten so far.
yeah, but part of it is like, and this is like because again, it's like we're not like huge fans. I know that Owen hates James Gunn, but we're not like even like between the three of us, we're not like huge. We're not super high on him like
yeah.
overall as a filmmaker. I know that me and Kevin like some of his movies, but like uh, he's not like an idiot, you know. He just like I don't know. I think that he really is like we're gonna do something similar to Marvel but distinctly different. Um, and that now it's like oh, okay, like you guys want to do like your I guess like
Marvel.
this is like the what's next for fucking DC movies part of the podcast after this piece of
Yeah.
shit um
Yeah.
because it's like the
Um,
next DC movie is
Nicholas
going to be
Holt,
Aquaman 2
Superman.
directed
When does
by
that
James
come out?
Wan. Okay, can I here I'm going to get on my mini pedestal a little bit. It comes out fucking December. Here's my shit with Aquaman 2, right?
Devilman Sweep. Fuck that shit.
Aquaman 1 is the
Just
highest grossing DC movie of all time.
insane.
yeah.
Why the fuck? Why are they burying Aquaman 2? Like what the fuck? From a business standpoint, it just doesn't make any. It's like it's actually. I'm like it's like I'm
Yeah.
like.
And Jason Momoa's like at the height of like
Yeah, of his
career. Like
popularity.
he's like in everything right now, and also in huge things that are like still to come out.
And James
Like
Wan
he is everywhere.
is like James Wan is like a kind of a household name in terms of like film directors, where it's like not like tons of not everybody doesn't know his name. Like
Yeah.
he's not like Zack Snyder or Chris Nolan, right? But it's like a lot of normal people know who James Wan is, and they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
like James Wan movies. He directed fucking a Fast and Furious movie. Like
Well, that's why the DCEU is so interesting because we had so much like directors who cared about the craft who had sauce. Like that was the
Yeah.
difference from
Yeah.
DCU and Marvel is all these MCU people were just kind of yes men, like producer directors first. They would do what they were told. They would do it what they're told very well. And then the DC, they were just kind of cooking like crazy. But the producers like fuck off. We don't want to do that anymore. Like we gotta be Marvel. But we had like James Wan, Zack Snyder. We had like it was just like a crazy amount of sauce going on. And the fact that like it lasted like that short amount of time and kind of exploded is really disheartening. But maybe Aquaman 2 will be really fun. That'd be fun.
Aquaman 1.
Yeah.
That's
I'd
the
like to
biggest thing.
see it.
Aquaman 1 is so much fun, even if it's
Yeah,
fucking
I'll probably
stupid.
watch it later
Uh,
today, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm so
Um,
shocked. He's like it's the 20th highest grossing movie worldwide of all time.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's a huge
But
movie.
like
Yeah.
they're burying it, and now I'm thinking like, okay, is Aquaman and like, but I'm thinking like, oh, is Aquaman 2 gonna have anything to do with the Flash? Maybe like, are they gonna tie it in somehow? It's like that
Well,
would be kind of crazy. I know there's a
I was gonna
post-credit
say,
scene.
we should the last thing we have to touch on is the resolution
Yeah, I didn't end up
slash,
watching
like
that.
the end credits. Well, also just like the before end credit, like the when the conflict's
Oh.
resolved and we get George Clooney showing up as the new Batman.
Oh, George,
Um,
man.
yeah, I don't know. Do you got anything you guys want to say about the resolution
That was
or
a
the
dumb
credits or
fucking.
whatever?
That was so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I started laughing. That was the only moment in the movie
So,
where I started laughing.
did you see on they came out and said what they shot like 3 of those and what the other ones were?
No.
Oh, with
So
like
it
different
was-
actors, or
So
would-
George Clooney is the one we got. There was
Okay.
one that had Henry Cavill, Sasha's Supergirl, and Michael Keaton's Batman. And then there was one with Michael Keaton's Batman and just Sasha's Supergirl. So it was like we keep Cavill, we get the Supergirl and Michael Keaton, because there was a moment where it was like Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be in the Batgirl, and we're going to keep Michael Keaton around. So they were keeping Cavill, but then they got rid of Cavill, and they were like, "Oh, we're still going to keep Keaton, and we're going to keep Sasha." And then James Gunn came in and was like, "Michael, fucking George Clooney, you can have it. Just go away." Like George Clooney was basically like, "We're done." That was what it is.
Yeah, I'm so happy Henry Cavill was not in the fucking
these other versions of the fucking ending where it was like, we're still going, we're still having this universe continue. It's just gonna look different. The whole Flash movie was made to kind of get rid of Zack, but still keep going with some of the toys. And then James Gunn was like, "No, we're blowing it all up. We're gonna move on."
Yeah.
Because there was a moment there that's why the Batgirl movie got canned, because they needed money, and also it was bad, and also it was gonna be like, it was gonna be a sequel to this Flash movie, pretty much.
You know what else looks bad? I even forgot. So the next fucking DC movie that comes out is not Aquaman 2, it's Blue Beetle.
Wait, so is Blue Beetle coming out before Aquaman 2?
Yeah, Aquaman 2 comes out late this year.
But James Gunn, so that's why it's weird, because James Gunn's like, Blue Beetle's a part of the new universe, but Aquaman's a part of the old universe, or is it a part of the new universe too? But keeping Jason Momoa.
It's so weird because they keep saying how the Flash is the end of the DCEU.
They're saying it's the end
is now over,
and they're saying this is the end, and Blue Beetle is the beginning. So does that mean Aquaman 2 is a part of the new stuff, or
maybe because he also said James Gunn also said like he's not against, like he said that like Jason Momoa, didn't he say Jason Momoa is still gonna be Aquaman? Didn't he say that?
He said a million things. I don't. He's like he just keeps saying shit, which I mean it makes sense because you talk about how Aquaman made so much money, and like it's like it would make total sense for them to keep Jason Momoa around. But
Aquaman is literally the least problematic fucking character they have right now in this whole universe in terms of their like solo movies.
Yeah,
which Aquaman is crazy. But it's like Henry Cavill should not have been like we should have got Man of Steel 2. Like it's like it just kind of it's very odd, and it almost feels like there was just an easy like plan that they could have gone with, but like we kind of just blew shit up.
Yeah,
because it was like, okay, Man of Steel 2, we get Aquaman 2. We get Justice League 2, with the Flash 2. We get like a Cyborg movie. Like it's just like I don't know. We get the Batman with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the biggest thing too. Especially, I don't know if you're gonna go back and rewatch Zack Snyder's Justice League, Owen, but
yeah, I am.
The way that movie ends makes me so sad because it's like it ends on just like a massive fucking not even cliffhanger really, but it just sets up like a whole
the coolest shit ever. Like it's like,
I'm like, oh man,
the next movie would have been like the greatest fucking superhero movie ever. We're never getting it
because we get like this cool villain. Like he's not like the coolest guy ever, but we get this pretty cool villain in like Zack Snyder's Justice League. But then they kill him, and they make it out to be like, oh, this is like the smallest of the small fry compared to fucking Doomsday, who we see for half a second.
So yeah, you get these awesome moments where Steppenwolf is like just chucking horses and shit, like just destroying all like the Wonder Woman people, and then at the end it's like, oh, this is like the smallest of the villains, and then it's setting up this whole universe pretty much, and we're never getting that. That's like the whole thing with all this stuff. Is like you see what we get now is the Flash, and then you rewatch these old movies and like, oh, these rock. We're never getting more of this.
So but we're gonna get Blue Beetle, which is gonna be bad. Spoilers, guys. Blue Beetle's gonna be. Are you excited for Blue Beetle?
Let's go.
I mean, I don't like know, and I don't have any reason to not be excited, but I'll
be there for George Lopez day one.
It looks so bad. Blue Beetle looks.
I'm like
indifferent. It looks like
I don't know.
No,
made for TV movie. It looks really bad. Aquaman 2, which we like no fucking dick all about. We literally don't know anything about it other than it comes out like late this year. And then after that we're gonna get Superman Legacy, which hasn't even started filming yet.
Which doesn't even have a lead yet.
They just started doing.
They're doing the tests right now. Yeah. So maybe by the time we do the news on next week.
Wait, a trailer came out about this movie?
For what movie?
Aquaman 2?
No,
Just re-
no shot.
I
I
don't
would
think
know
so.
about that.
just
Yeah, I feel
remade.
like I would have seen that. Maybe not.
Anyway, are we gonna talk
Anyway,
about news?
yeah, I was
I
gonna say,
looked
you guys
up.
want to talk about the news?
Wait, hold on. I looked up
While
Aquaman
we're on
2,
it.
and an article came out 2 days ago. Says Aquaman 2 is reportedly horrible and unwatchable. That rocks.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
We'll see. People said the same thing about the first one, so we'll see.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hope Ben Affleck's in that movie somehow.
Well,
rocks.
yeah, there's a rumor that he is.
Just he's gonna be in it like for 2 minutes, like,
Yeah.
and he's in a blue suit, and he's talking about how you should just give his money away or something.
Well, that's the thing with Aquaman 2 that I think is problematic as well. Is like they were fucking in production during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
I've
that,
heard that she's like not in it at all.
yeah, and I think that really fucked up their whole thing because Warner Brothers was like, "Oh fuck, like what the fuck did we do?" She's like the second lead of the
Yeah.
movie.
That's probably why they're burying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Then if you guys don't have anything else to say about the Flash, we can talk about the news. I have a lot of news actually. I mean, we could skip some of these things, but I wrote a lot down. So,
Let's get to it, brother.
yeah. All right. Let's get started then. We're gonna start with, along with a bunch of other movies, getting delayed. Let's talk about the three that we care about. The next three Avatar films have been delayed to December of 2025, 2029, and 2031.
When I tell you this news ruined my fucking day,
Yeah.
I like woke up to this and I just went back to bed, dude. I like actually fucked up my whole day.
Yeah, I will be in my 30s watching the last Avatar.
No, yeah, it's like you'll be what? You'll be like 33. I think I'll be 31 and
I'll be 30. I'll be 31.
Oh,
My age matches the year.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's
my
crazy.
age matches.
I
Because I was
thought
born
you were
like right at the
recording.
I was born right at the end of '99, so I could just like my
Okay.
age is always just like equivalent with the year.
Yeah, I'll be.
but-
You'll be 31. I'll be 30, and Owen will be 29. I think, right? Yeah.
Something like
that's-
that.
That's far in the
It's
future.
fucked up.
Yeah,
It's fucked up.
that's a far away movie to think
No,
about.
I told my mom
Or
that,
28,
right?
I think.
And she was like, "Damn," she was like, "It's crazy." I don't know. It's like it's fucking dumb. It pisses me off. So, it
Yeah.
doesn't piss me off. It makes me sad. It makes me so sad. I'm like,
Yeah.
God, it would be so old.
Yeah, they did bring it up.
Rebel Moon 3 will be out by then.
Jesus.
If Netflix is still around, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go. We're gonna like
That would
half
be
of
some.
an-
That would be
we're-
some news. The downfall of Netflix.
We're gonna get
that'd be
half of
lovely.
another Zack Snyder franchise. He's gonna get 2 movies in, and they're gonna can him again. Let's go.
I mean, we trust James Cameron, but that's really sad.
Yeah, it's
That,
like
that we have to wait that long.
yeah.
Especially like that gap between 3 and 4. Like 2025 is like reasonable for us having just seen Avatar.
Think
2.
about the old people that saw this bitch in 2008.
Yeah,
like they were like
the people
30.
who are gonna die before they get
Yeah,
to see the
Yeah,
series
like people in their
completed.
50s that in 2009 are now
Yeah,
gonna be like in their
Yeah.
80s. Like,
Oh
Jesus Christ.
man.
That's great. Not to
Yeah.
mention how much older James Cameron's going to be by
He'll
the
be
time
fine,
the final
he'll be
one
fine.
comes out. I mean, he's going to be okay, but you know
He's
what
like-
I mean. Like it's
he's
just
like
crazy.
swimming-
He already
It's
had-
crazy to see that gap in age.
he
from when
already
made the
he already
first
had the
one.
plans where he like didn't think he was gonna direct the
Yeah.
4th and 5th one.
Robert Rodriguez's Avatar 5.
Maybe
Let's
someone else.
go.
Maybe someone else.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Tom Holland.
You don't like Robert
Avatar
Rodriguez?
5.
I like
Tom
Robert
Holland's
Rodriguez.
gonna direct.
I don't know
No.
if he's the right fit for
Sam Worthington
Avatar.
is the direct. Sam
No,
Worthington.
that's actually what I was saying. I don't know if she has any interest in directing movies or doing
Zoe
like
Saldana.
yeah, Zoe Saldana though I think is like kind of an obvious choice because I don't think that there's any actor on planet Earth that has more experience with fucking mocap in movies than Zoe Saldana.
Yeah,
Shout out.
yeah.
And she's also
Yeah,
just a really
She's
talented
awesome.
actress.
Yeah, she's very talented. Yeah. Okay.
She's great.
Our next little thing. Yeah, I know you guys are probably less excited for this, but we have because this is TV stuff. But
Wow.
two pieces of
Bummer.
Squid Game related news.
Let's go.
First,
Squid Game.
first piece is that most of the major cast is returning for season 2. Essentially, every main character who did not die in the
Yeah.
first season of Squid Game will be coming back for season 2. And then the other piece of news to go along with this is that the Squid Game reality series is debuting in November.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Largest cast in the history of reality TV. 456 players competing for $4.56 million.
Shout out
question-
Mr. Beast, man.
Yeah, the question is, if you guys were in Squid Game, how long are you making it in the Squid Game reality TV series?
So I watched the Mr. Beast video that came out fucking 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I feel like I would be okay at this. I don't think I would win though.
Yeah.
I don't think I would.
Well,
win.
my question is, how do they vet the people for this reality series? Is it like they just pick, like it's just a completely diverse group from like age to like athletic ability, or is it like 456 like American Ninja Warrior style people who are like training to
Oh,
do
that
training to
would
do
rock.
Squid Game?
That would
You know what
kind
I
of
mean?
rock. Yeah.
It'd be way more entertaining.
Because it's like
than
if it's a bunch of
random
skilled
show.
people, yeah, like if it's a bunch of skilled people, I'm getting out like right away. But if it's just like a random assortment of people, I think I could make it pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah,
here's the
because
thing.
people
I
are
feel
kind
like,
of bumming.
yeah, I don't know.
Some of y'all are kind of bumming.
Which is also just like, I mean, I already said this when Mr. Beast did his version of it so long ago, and now we're getting a huge Netflix version. But it's like, this is just
Damn,
the
Mr. Beast
craziest.
is-
Like, this is just
Netflix
like this just
is really
feels
just
awful.
Mr.
Like, it just
Beast.
feels so wrong that like
Yeah, I mean, it's like
that we
it's like-
have a Squid Game reality series coming out. Like, it is just the most like, I don't know. You try not to
live
get
in-
too down about like the future of the world, but like,
I was
No,
thinking
no,
about
This
this
is your fault, Kevin.
yesterday. It feels like we live in hell.
You support television.
And
This is your
It stresses
fault.
me out.
okay, that's a
And-
crazy takeaway from
You and
from
your
that.
television army, man.
Enjoying television is not the point I'm making.
The
with why this
downfall of
feels
our
dystopian.
world.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. This is like a testament to like how low our media literacy has gotten to see this show and then be like,
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
we need.
I don't
Flash.
think people are gonna watch it.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, they'll watch it.
It's-
They watch.
I think
Idol.
I think Netflix will push it a lot.
Push it.
Like they
Yeah.
do with all of their original stuff. And I'm more curious to see how like popular the second season of Squid Game is, because the first season is obviously like the most popular thing Netflix has ever done, but it's like
Other
You
than
think, like,
Wednesday.
yeah, sure. but I wonder if like the hype has died down. Like I wonder if people care enough for like the numbers to repeat in a second season, or if people
No,
are just
they
gonna
need
be
to
like, oh yeah, I already
create
saw it
another
the first time."
pandemic to get people to watch it again.
I like Squid Game. I'll say that. I know
never
some
watched it.
people.
I don't even
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I
neither
never
of us
went
watched it,
down
but
to that level and watched it.
I thought Squid Game
Never
was interesting.
stooped
It's
to
not like
that
the best.
low, you know.
Okay, whatever. It's not the best TV ever, but it has like, I don't know. It's good. It's got good actors. Like it's got a bunch of actors who I really like. I don't know. It's a pretty good show. Anyway, next one on the list. I know neither of you care about this, but it seemed like it was just being spread all across Twitter, so I figured I'd had to include it. Sarah Polley in talks to direct
Oh,
live action
brother.
Bambi movie.
Oh, the Bambi movie.
Yeah. Obviously,
Sarah is
Bambi-
Sarah Polley the most bizarre choice for that? Like what the
A little
fuck?
bit.
No, I
yeah.
actually think she fits in really well.
Why do you
the
say
stills
that?
I've seen from Women Talking look like
Okay,
every
whatever.
other DC live action movie.
Whatever.
Or not DC,
whatever.
Disney live action movie. She will fit in with the sauceless visionary
Yeah.
images that they love over there.
Well, I mean, there's all of those CG generated animals in Women Talking that make you feel
Yeah.
like she knows exactly how to
Yeah.
direct something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll
It feels
rock.
random. It just feels random.
Yeah,
Like,
it feels
like-
random to me. I liked Women
It feels
Talking.
like they said, oh, she won something.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like she was nominated
You
for
want to do?
Best
They called her up and
Director,
they said,
right,
"Hey, you
at
want to do Bambi?" And she
the
said,
Oscars.
"How much
Yeah.
are you paying me?"
Yeah,
Well, that's how they get them when they give out the Oscars to new directors. They're like, what if we throw the bag at them to go do something?
Sarah
else
Polley
instead?
is fucking Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
no,
that
they
would
call
be
Sarah Polley
ridiculous.
and they're like, "Do you want to do Bambi?" And she's like, okay, will you finance my next movie
Yeah.
if I do this?
It's like, do you want to do Bambi or do you want to do Doctor Strange 3? Pick one. It's like,
no, they call him like, hey, do you want to direct the new Avengers movie? No. Okay, do you want to do Bambi?
Yeah, it's like they got on a list of like shitty IPs.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I know none of us are
Okay.
excited for it, but we had to mention.
I'll be
that.
there.
I won't
No,
be
you
there.
won't.
I won't be
No,
there.
you won't, Owen. I know I will because I fucking
Yeah,
watch
you're
it
a
like
shill.
that.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah,
you didn't
okay.
see The Little Mermaid, right? Because I didn't watch that either.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
give it
look,
5 stars,
listen,
though.
listen. We're not going to talk about the Little Mermaid, but it's actually not a bad movie. That's all I'm. Gonna
I think
say.
it looks like The Flash.
No, I would go watch the Little Mermaid 4 more times.
Oh, we
before
didn't even
watching
talk about the Flash
again.
CGI. There was too much to talk about. But
Yeah, well, that's like I think that was kind of the obvious thing we said when the movie looks bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, next little piece of news. Two pieces of news together, I guess.
It's a lot of the lighting,
they're
though. The lighting is
similar.
horrible in that movie.
Anyway, two pieces of news that are similar. Two actresses that I think all three of us like.
I've heard of
Yeah, two actresses.
Helen Mirren.
Both working on scripts. Kristen Stewart is writing a screenplay alongside Dylan Meyer, described as a stoner girl comedy, and it's really fucking stupid. And then in addition, Rachel Sennett is writing a movie. She also plans to direct, and it's inspired by her experiences during her early career as a comedian.
Rachel Sennett is going down the Pete Davidson path, I think.
Yeah.
Of playing.
Which one of these two would you be more like, without any information? Which one of those two would you be more excited for?
Rachel Sennett's movie, probably.
Kristen Stewart.
I think I'm going in the direction of Kristen Stewart. I don't know though, because I mean Rachel.
I like both though. I'll see both.
Yeah, we would all three of us would see both of these movies. I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's like way too early to tell what they're.
I think I just think that like I'm not, stoner comedies aren't necessarily my thing. So that's.
I agree with that. It's not really but like even a lot of movies that are like stoner comedies that are like kind of have like this big cult following. I watch them and I'm just like, I just feel like I'm missing out. Like because I'm just not like I'm not the audience. So
yeah, like Pineapple Express and stuff like that. I'm like, it's all right. Like
yeah. Like if I was a different person, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I get what you mean, but I think just the fact that it's Kristen Stewart writing it gets me like a little bit excited. I'll sign up for it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think they'll both be funny. Next up, Christopher McQuarrie reveals that Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Parts 1 and 2 are not the end of the series. He says they already have ideas for what's coming next.
Did you not see this, Doug?
No, I did not see this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not see this. Yeah, so Mission Impossible.
Yeah, they're gonna keep going.
They have more movies planned and they got more ideas.
Not with Tom Cruise though.
He's coming. Oh, he's coming.
I feel so confident.
He's coming, Doug.
What's the oldest age you could be to jump out of an airplane?
Well, no, it's not even that. But it's like the narrative. Well, I guess Kevin, I guess neither of you would fucking know this because you haven't seen all the movies.
Yeah,
but
I've seen the most recent one.
The Ethan Hunt narrative is like begging to come to an end.
Yeah,
like his
and
like
they said fuck that.
Like the arc of his character is begging to end because it's like
you know how much money Top Gun made?
how much would your
you know how much fucking money Top Gun made?
How much would your excitement drop about a movie with like a Mission Impossible movie without Tom Cruise?
Well, that's what I was gonna get at. I feel like
Pegg.
Yeah, so I feel like that we're done with. I feel like it's like gonna be Dead Reckoning Part 2, and I think Tom Cruise is gonna be done with Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Is Henry Cavill only in one of those movies?
Yeah, Henry Cavill's the bad guy in Fallout.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Anyway,
we could say you just said he's the villain. Like, of course. Anyway.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah, I could cut it. I won't cut it, but I could.
Don't cut it.
Cut it, bro.
No, Henry Cavill's cool. No. So
who's gonna be the new guy?
Well, that's the thing. I think that actually this is so. I think that originally
Tom Holland.
No. What's his name?
No.
Jeremy Renner. I think it was supposed to be Jeremy Renner, but then instead of doing that, they just went even harder with Tom Cruise. But I think
was
that
Jeremy Renner in any of those movies?
Yes.
Yeah,
they like no, he didn't die. He just like
disappeared.
Yeah, he just disappeared. But I think Jeremy Renner was actually going to be like was like kind of being set up to like replace Tom Cruise in the movies, or and like be a main character in his own Mission Impossible thing, I think. But then that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't think Jeremy Renner could physically do it anymore.
Yeah,
after
he
this
sucks.
accident. Well, okay.
Bad timing, but he's not
Yeah, I was
great.
like,
Yeah, maybe not the time to dunk on Jeremy Renner right now.
I can dunk on him.
We can move on to the next thing before Owen gets crazy dissing Jeremy Renner.
Hawkeye. Shut up.
Next thing we got Guillermo del Toro says he has a couple more live action movies that he wants to do, but not many. And after that, he only wants to
In
do
the mouth of
animation.
madness.
yeah. Guillermo del Toro. Did you see that? Did you read the full interview that he was in?
Yeah, well, he was basically like, yeah, I'm pitching these
I read a
fucking
little bit.
movies, and everyone's like, shoot yourself.
Yeah, he was going off. He was going
It's a good
crazy
summary.
in the interview. He was basically
He
saying
was like,
how it's
yeah, I've been trying to get movies made. No one wants to make them. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys.
yeah, and he's like, people keep making these shitty fucking garbage animated movies, basically. It's like-
Yeah, he
He's
was
like-
like, I'm trying to save animation because you guys suck.
Yeah,
and I'm
he
trying to
was
make
like-
live action movies too, but no one wants to make them because you guys suck.
No, he said like being a director is like he said he's like being a director is like working in shit, but then like being a successful director is just working in a bigger pile of shit. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's so
Yeah,
crazy.
he is awesome. He needs to keep making movies forever. And people need to let him make
He's
movies.
trying. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's
He's
the issue.
trying.
He was like, oh, I want to make so many movies, and everyone's like, no, don't make movies, which is insane because his track record is so good.
yeah,
Like, it's
Guillermo del
like,
Toro should be
his track
one of
record
those
is
guys.
very good.
Guillermo del Toro should be like fucking Christopher Nolan.
He should have a blank check to do
Yeah, like,
anything,
have a
which
blank
is
check to, like-
insane that he doesn't. And the fact that he's working with Netflix and they're not just giving him whatever to make whatever is insane.
Yeah,
It's
kind of a
Guillermo del
testament to
Toro.
how much Netflix sucks too.
Guillermo del
Kind
Toro
of
made
testament to
fucking
how
Pan's
we
Labyrinth.
where we
'Cause they
are.
don't- yeah.
That's kind of just where we are with film right now. Is someone like Guillermo del Toro cannot get movies made. That's insane.
That's it. Yeah, it's an insane.
Bro's
thing to
last
think
movie
about.
won Best Animated Feature, and his movie before that won Best Picture.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what?
Like, why
And
is
he-
this guy not
and-
getting all the money?
And he's
he
like,
wants?
he's been like shut down like the last 5 times he's trying to pitch something.
Yeah, that's
He's
crazy.
like, and it's so crazy because like he's like, it's people always say this how he's the most liked person in Hollywood. Like nobody dislikes
Yeah,
Guillermo del Toro. Like he has more
yeah,
friends.
but
than
not
anybody.
not enough to give him money.
Yeah,
I don't have
what
to
the
get
fuck?
him. He's like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that Frankenstein movie still like a thing? What is going on with that?
Yeah, well, I think it is happening because he was location scouting for it like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Okay. Next piece of news is like maybe the most surprising thing. I like had to do a double take when I read this because I was like, why is this even a thing? Both Woody and Buzz are returning for a Toy Story 5, which is like,
Pixar is
Why are
so
they-
cooked. Pixar
yeah,
is
like
so
why
cooked.
are they making
We gotta
another?
burn Disney
It's
down.
just like crazy that they wrapped up the stories in 3 and they were like, no, we'll just make a 4th one, and then they really wrapped up the stories in that movie, and now they're making a 5th one and bringing both of their main
Let's
characters back who we thought they said
We-
goodbye to.
I
Steve Jobs
love
is
Tom
dead
Hanks.
already, but if Steve Jobs was alive, he would kill himself at this news. Like Pixar is so fucking over. Like
He's
Yeah.
just like me.
I mean,
Look
I
at
love
Steve, man.
I love the Toy Story movies too. But
Yeah,
like
you
I
would.
don't even okay, whatever. Shut up. Like, yeah, no shit. Like it's fucking Toy Story, dude. But,
the thing is,
I
like,
can't even like get that excited for this.
when
Like, this
3
just
came out,
sounds-
people were calling 3 a cash grab.
yeah,
You know, what
or
I
was
mean?
really a cash grab.
Kevin is
and-
Tim Allen's
like-
biggest fan.
Okay, you can't say stuff like that. like
You're
no,
literally
I'm
Vincent
absolutely
Gallo's
fucking
biggest
not.
fan. You're literally Vincent Gallo's biggest fan.
Oh, yeah, that's better than Tim Allen. Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
At least Vincent Gallo made a.
Now
good
let's
movie.
move on from Toy Story. Anyway, no, but seriously, like it's
Vincent
just, I
Gallo
don't
would
know.
eat Tim Allen alive.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much the last thing. The rest of the stuff is irrelevant, I think. But the point is we don't need Toy Story 5. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. Follow us on Twitter. Join us next week for episode 25. We're going to be talking about the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City.
Asteroid City. I've already seen this
which-
movie. I saw this
Yeah,
movie.
Doug has
Yeah.
already seen. Doug has
Spoiler,
already seen this
it's
movie.
bad.
No, it's good. It's
Spoiler,
actually
it's,
great.
it's
Really
not
bad.
bad. Yeah.
It's great. Spoiler.
Spoiler,
Really
next
good.
week's podcast will be a lot more positive than this week's. That's
what
the
you'd like to
spoiler we
think.
can give you. No, that's what's gonna happen. And if it doesn't, then I don't know.
No, Kevin, what if you
Anyway.
hate it? What if you watch it and you're like, God, this shit's so
I
annoying?
don't hate a Wes
Kevin
Anderson
doesn't hate
movie,
things
come
because
on.
he's blind.
Yes, I do. I hate things. I hate plenty of things. I wouldn't hate a Wes Anderson
Kevin-
movie though.
Okay, like, comment, subscribe, follow
Yeah.
us on
Comment down
follow
below
us
if
on
you want
Twitter.
that Cam Walsh episode.
No, follow us on Twitter, right?
Everyone spam that comment
Review,
section.
Anyway,
rate
follow
us,
us on Twitter.
rate us on Spotify.
Yeah, give us a rating on Spotify, and we'll see you next week.